welcome to our first edition of Court Calls, Eno CTA's first podcast. This is where players call in, ask their questions, and get, I guess, resolution of their court calls. With us, our panelists are Joanne Hudley, who has been a USTA umpire for over 22 years. Welcome, Joanne. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Great. Our second panelist is Steve Rockhind, who has been a tennis coach at Riverside High School for, since 2011?
Well, at Riverside since 2015.
2015.
Been
okay.
a coach since 2011.
All right. Hello, Steve. Welcome. We do have three callers who have questions. So first, we're going to get some news from Steve of what the status is on when can we get back on the court. Steve, what do you have for us?
Well, I wish it was really, really great news, but of course, you know, none of us have any real idea about what's going to be happening from the USTA perspective. They've gone ahead and canceled national championships for the entire year up through December 31. They've left it up to states and sections to decide what to do, I imagine, based on the individual states and the individual sections. Southern section, as most of us that are players are aware, has sent out a questionnaire asking players, number one, how important it is for them to do to finish up league play, how important it is for them to have a state championship, how important it is for them to go to sectionals, and what their comfort level is with any of those kinds of things. Individual players have gotten a kind of a group email from USTA Southern regarding this, but captains, and I'm a captain of a couple of teams, captains have sent out reminders and have sent out the link again to get our players to give as much feedback to the USTA Southern section as they can. The survey, I believe, ends Sunday at midnight, 11:59 or whatever. And we're hoping that obviously we're going to get a very broad take of, you know, individual players. A lot of it depends on age group and financial status and a whole lot of other variables that you know that are hard to factor in. I know that from polling my players, you know, across the board, there are some guys that want to get back on the court immediately. There are some people that are a little less enthusiastic, having to do with how long we think this thing is going to last. As far as individual localities, we've heard nothing from the city of Durham or Orange County or Durham County to lead us to believe that they're at all anxious to reopen any courts. And I'm sure they're being very diligent and being very prudent about this.
So we should ask our viewers to please fill out those surveys before this Sunday.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay. Let's get to our questions, and our first caller is Kim from Apex. Hey Kim, how's it going?
Hi.
And what's your question?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah.
My question is, if my opponent hits a short shot and it bounces on my side but just shy of the net, when it bounces back towards their side, am I allowed to hit it over the net? And if I am, can I hit it on my side of the net and follow through on their side?
It's a good question.
Good question.
Joanne, what you got for us?
Well, that's a great question, because this is the one and only time that a player is allowed to reach over the net. You can reach over the net when the ball has spun and bounced back over the net. You're allowed to reach over the net and hit the ball into the correct court or into the net, which is a slick move. and then you get the point. You cannot touch the net. You have to be really careful. Also, you can swing and hit the ball on your side of the net, but the follow through can go across the net, still not touching the net. Does that answer the question?
Yes. One little follow up. What if I don't touch it at all and it bounces over?
Then you lose the point.
Oh. Okay.
Well, thanks, Kim, for asking your question. Our next caller is Pam from Morrisville. Pam, what you got?
Hi there, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me. My question is directed toward either official, and I wanted to just ask. I had just served, and this is a situation that's come up a few times. I had just served and was getting ready to hit my opponent's return. Then I noticed that my partner's hat had flown off their head and hit the net. I called a let and didn't return the shot. My opponent says that we cannot call the let and it's their point. What is the protocol here?
Well, you missed that one. A player cannot call a let on something that she caused. So, because your doubles partners are one unit, and your doubles partner's head fell off and hit the net. Whenever you or something you're wearing or holding touches the net during a point, you lose the point. And as I said, something that you've caused yourself is not something you can call a let for.
Ah, very good. Thank you.
So Pam lost the point.
Joanne, dovetail on top of that for a second. Now, what would happen if Pam had hit the ball, her partner's hat falls off, hits the net, and the opposing team calls the let? Then how does that point go?
Well, the difference there is the hat hit the net, which means you lose the point. If the hat had hit the ground, the opposing team could have called a let.
And would the point be replayed or?
Replayed, yes.
There you go. Okay.
But the catch there is something touched the net during the play.
Understood.
Thanks,
Thank
Pam,
you.
for your question. Our other caller is Lauren from Durham. Lauren, thanks for joining us. What's your question?
Hi, thanks for having me. So I have an Apple Watch and my opponent is requesting that I take that Apple Watch off because of their concern that I might be receiving feedback via text messages on that Apple Watch from my teammates and possibly coach.
Oh.
So am I required to take my Apple Watch off?
Well, here's the thing. The rules say we are allowed to have coaching, and communication with an Apple Watch or a phone could be coaching, but there's nothing in the rules that says you cannot wear the watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get your steps in. So, I mean, why? I like to wear my iWatch to get my steps in, but
and we play by the code. In the code, you have, by the code, you call certain things you call on yourself. You call not ups, you call touches, you call, if your hair or your clothes touch the ball as it's going by, because, so this is in the same category, I would say, is you playing to be honest.
Okay, so I'll reassure my opponent that I won't be receiving texts and I will have my watch on Do Not Disturb so I cannot receive any text messages during the match.
And
that
maybe
reassure her.
Yeah, you could show your opponent that I have it on Do Not Disturb or airplane mode. So like Joanne said, that's a great strategy.
Let me say another thing about coaching. According to the book, any form of communication with the player is not allowed. Parents who say, but I was just saying, come on, I was just saying, breathe, I was just saying, relax, that's coaching.
Well, but what about if I'm cheering you on, like, great shot?
Oh, that's fine. And go, good way to go.
Okay.
Just don't say, hit it to her backhand. Or don't forget to breathe. Drink water. I guess that's a crossover.
That's interesting, Joanne. So I can't say relax to my, you can't say just relax,
That's
breathe.
coaching. That's coaching.
It's coaching.
Wow.
Yeah, that's coaching.
Fine line.
Yeah.
Very fine line.
Walk it.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank our callers at this time for assisting us with our first podcast. It was a lot of fun. We hope to do this on a regular basis. So if anybody out there has questions for us to, and our panelists to answer for you, please submit them to our website or email address at enonc@gmail.com. This concludes our first podcast, and we hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Thanks, everybody.